I'm ready. I'm ready, coach. Put me in. I'm ready. Hey, folks. I'm Jacob. This is Weebservations, and it's now 2021. 2020 was an unbelievably hard year, a long year, a rough year. And I don't know about you guys, but I am in serious need of some R&R. That's right. I seriously need to review and react to some anime. Trying something new. Little bit scary, lot bit scary, many bits, all the bits that I have scary to get in front of a camera again, but I'm just gonna throw myself into it like Eren hurling his angry little body at a giant woman. Before we get into the first episode of the final season, just a little history, a little bit of my background with this series and what I think of it so far. So, first of all, stuff I like about Titan. I love how messy the characters are. Everybody feels incredibly human at their worst and at their best. Eren is definitely the protagonist. He is definitely the driving force of the story, but it's getting harder and harder to believe that he's going to be the hero when all the dust settles. I really enjoy that ambiguity. The more we learn about not just him and how he's changing, but how the global conflict is escalating, it becomes more and more clear that this is not the kind of story where, you know, a beaten down hero rises up and claims his true destiny or whatever. Everything is riding on the extremely irrational and personal decisions of a bunch of different people in an impossible situation. Even though the structure of this story is this puzzle box-like in nature, it never feels like the characters are just cogs in the wheel of fate, as it were. It really feels like everything is based on the personal decisions that they have to make. Perfect example of this strength is the choice between Erwin and Armin that takes place in Season 3. You know what I'm talking about if you've seen it. I don't know why you're here if you haven't seen it, but really that whole decision and whether it was the right one or the wrong one is based entirely on timing and personal motivations, and you really get to see these characters kind of break down to their most animal, their most primal desires and beliefs, regardless of whatever the plan is or isn't supposed to be in moments like that, and it really drives home what makes Titan special. Setting aside the character's agency and lack thereof it, I also really like how the tactical intricacy of the plot is metered out. Like, it's really hard to write a puzzle box story like this. You know, everybody knows, okay, well, you write your mystery backwards. You get, if not every detail, all the biggest details solved, and then you work backwards down to the smallest seed, the smallest impetus, so we can kind of grow into the mystery along with the characters. But that's easier said than done. It is really difficult to construct a plot like that where all of the knowledge that is required to understand, not only understand, but more importantly, care about what's going on, is dispensed in the right timing. Titan has really excellent timing, and it's not even necessarily conventional in the way that it dispenses its big reveals and its twists. I think it's really incredible, the bravery of the author to do things like the reveal of the Colossal and Armored Titan in Season 2, and how that's handled is really impressive and shows a lot of confidence in the valuing of inevitability and accepting that the audience has probably already figured out what you're about to reveal, so how do you reveal it in a way that is surprising and that will be memorable, instead of just going for the standard, like, surprise, shock, you know, caught on the witness stand kind of moments of, gotcha. Titan is really good at not only doling out twists in a satisfying way, but in trusting the audience to figure things out and then revealing that information in a meaningful way, and it has a greater impact than just going, you didn't see this coming, because sometimes you can see it coming, and that's actually more rewarding when it pans out in a way that satisfies you emotionally for having figured it out early. Shifting focus over to things I didn't care for, the on-the-nose iconography I don't think is necessary. There are historical parallels to be made, absolutely, with this, even if there wasn't any, even if it was entirely a fantasy world with, like, I don't know, JRPG aesthetic and weaponry and stuff like that. I think that there would still be political and historical parallels being made. However, the direct on-the-nose use of certain symbols and imagery that are a little bit too recent, too close to home, and are just inextricable from their historical context, I don't think is necessary. The armbands are uncalled for. I don't know, if I was to get into the political ramifications of Attack on Titan's messaging and the things I do and don't agree with, would be here all day. Mostly, I really, really like the show, but, you know, delicate ground to tread sometimes. But there's no accounting for taste, because I thought the poop torture machine was totally fine. A lot of people thought that was really gratuitous and horrible and shocking, and I was like, oh, it's fine. You know where Zachary's coming from. Maybe don't trust the guy all that much. He's into poop torture. I'm also not a fan of the tenuous depth of conspiracy that is required to keep the story going in the way that it is. How many Wallists know the truth? How many of the MPs know the truth? Like, it seems like even though they're not in on the whole conspiracy, that they don't know what's in the basement. The amount of information that is granted to them does seem a little bit like, oh, how would the secret not get out quicker? I guess it does kind of get out pretty quickly from the time that Eren enlists to now. Things have moved quite fast. But the fact that there's only 100 years since the impetus for all the events, and we can do that because memory erasure. Anytime you're relying really heavily on memory erasure to keep your plot going, it can be a crutch, and I don't want it to be for this story, but it tiptoes up to that line sometimes. And finally, what I'm hoping to see, I want to know, where does Eren's will begin and his dad's, or the Attack Titans, or all of the others, you know, that came before him end? Like, where is he in this Ouroboros of anger and hatred and generational suffering that has continued? Because at this point, his desire for freedom, Eren's desire for freedom, is unstoppable. He cannot be stopped. And that's a big problem, I think, in terms of how we're going to see him as the hero, if we're going to see him as the hero, and what's going to happen to everyone else. And, you know, he's on the clock now. He has less than 7 years to figure this out, and he's not okay. And so I'm wondering where that desire for freedom is going to turn into an entitlement or a need for control beyond his grasp. And we'll just leave it at that. I like all these characters, and I'm invested in what happens to all of them, but mostly I'm just worried about that kid, that Jaeger kid. Something's gotta be done about that Jaeger kid. Okay, episode 1, final season. Let's get into it. Ah, the wings of freedom. Or maybe it's just a buzzard. We gotta get you back to Star Fox and the rest of the team. Peppy hair can't hold out forever. I'd be drunk too. I'd be drunk too if I was 13 and being thrown on the front lines of a war for people who didn't give a shit about me. Feels bad, man. Oh good, okay, Falco's gonna be our audience surrogate. Well, since you seem to have lost all your memories of alternate universe war that the audience has not been introduced to yet, we're gonna get Falco to like speak to me as if I am a dumb child who has been conscripted into a war against his will. She just tapped him on the head with a... Is that live? That's a grenade. Don't... Wait a minute. Y'all... oh god. You know, Hajime Isayama is a big fan of... Oh, who's gonna be the next warrior? Okay, so that must be who gets the Titan powers and, you know, gets to be martyred and... You know, these kids are really in an impossible position where their lives are not valued from birth, so I guess it's considered a big deal to give your life to attack your own people on an island far away. Oh, is it Reiner? Is that Reiner? Oh, we're getting a new opening. I heard some complaints about this. I heard this opening was not great. Rainbow, war, crimes. I don't know, I don't think anything can be more, than the, I guess, previous opening. I will defend Red Swan. It worked well for the part of the story that it was introducing. Oh no! Oh, I am uncomfortable! It's one thing when hyenas do it in The Lion King, but when you add the uniforms and the music and the mushroom clouds, it gets a bit, This works. This is pretty bleak. This is a bleak opening. They're letting you know, like, alright, the fun and games and, like, for humanity's future stuff is over. It's turtles all the way down. It's gonna be absolute misery from this point forward. Oh, look at all those hands reaching to the sky. Oh, boy. I'm ready. I'm ready, coach. Put me in. I'm ready. All right, so there's 4 of these kids, right? There's 4 of them, I think. I think there's 4 of these kids. Hajime Isayama is a big fan of 3s. He likes triads. 3 is a magic number in Attack on Titan. One of these kids is not going to survive the episode, is my best guess. But there's 4 of these guys, so one of y'all ain't needed. They just introduced a tank that can kill a Titan in 1 shot. And our friends are heading into that. Alright, so this is a military expansion that was actually prompted by the failure on Paradise Island, because Armin and, well, Annie's powers haven't been taken, but Armin took Bertolt's powers, and it was just a big shit show. I don't think Zeke is going to be in a great position when he gets back, and that's not just because he is currently a quadruple amputee, but also because it looks like, you know, him being an Eldian, he's already on the outs with Marley, and then his, you know... Oh boy. These kids are really in an impossible position. I saw that conversation with Gabby earlier, the character who's really, really a little too cuddly with large grenades. That Gabby girl, you know, she was talking about, like, oh, I'm going to be the one to show you that, like, Eldians are great, actually. And it's like, we are fighting a losing battle. There is absolutely, literally nothing on the face of the earth that they could possibly do to make these people stop persecuting them. Like, oh, I'll become a war hero for the people persecuting me, and then they'll free my race. It's so immediately sad and doomed. It really makes you feel for these kids right off the bat. We're also used to seeing war in the context of Attack on Titan be cool. So, like, you know, you have ODM gear or your omnidirectional, I don't remember exactly, there's like 3 different translations for this, but you got the cool thing that lets you kind of fly and slice the backs of zombie necks, and that's cool. And then this is just shitty. Like, this is just like, hey, you want to be in World War I? Where you just sat in trenches, got sick, ate nothing, and then got flung onto a field where you were immediately blown up, because that's what war is. That's what war is in this particular part of the continent. So all the badassery of Attack on Titan has just gone out the f***ing window. That was really clear from the opening theme, too. There aren't even any of our characters in it, really. It's just faceless men dying on a battlefield and explosions. It's like, well, alright. Oh, no! Gabby, no! Gabby! She kind of looks like she's kind of like a Eren and Hanji had a child. A little suicidal child. So they're wearing fezzes, which is interesting. I don't know if this is meant to be taken as an analog for the Middle East. Those are, so, like, you know, I don't know the names of geographies. Like the Tarsus mountain range or whatever. I don't know if it's Eastern Europe or if it's meant to be the Northern Middle East or... I don't know. They're wearing fezzes. Oh my god, is she gonna throw the... Yes! No! I don't know if I should be cheering or horrified. Oh, f*** it, I'll cheer. Yeah! She blew up the tank! Oh, God! Well, alright. Point 1 for Gabby. Wait till I get home and tell everyone about this. It's like that scene in Mulan. My little baby going out to destroy people. Oh, look at this, Shadow of the Colossus looking fella. The 5th Colossus. Barba. So Falco has a tender spirit. He has a gentle heart. A little bit of Armin energy there, though I don't know. Falco does not strike me super intelligent yet. I think maybe he's like a proto Reiner actually. He looks like him. But okay, so he's in love with Gabby. That's a problem. And Gabby is determined to become the Armored Titan, and I think he's maybe has a little bit more foresight than she does in terms of knowing that he can't really win over the Marleyans and that there's no point to sacrificing himself unless he was to do it for someone he loved, like Gabby. But Gabby seems like she's determined to take Reiner's place instead of Mini Reiner here. Falco, that's a good name, Falco. They're just dropping bodies. Oh no! Oh, did they just inject these people and just, like, fuck it? Oh, the injection's, like, instantaneous, so probably not. Why would you just drop a bunch of bodies if it wasn't? Oh, it's Scream activated somehow. I feel like there's, we know that there's 9 Titans? We clearly don't know what number, I don't remember what the exact number is, but there's 7 or 9 of these. Oh, so many butts. Imagine you go to the front lines and you get crushed by a 2-ton falling butt. But as far as what we know about the powers of the Titans, there's 7 or 9 leaders, and then, like, armor and screaming to control them and things like that are add-ons. That's like, you add them to your skill tree after you unlock your Titan powers. But also, each Titan has its own, like, Pokemon, yes, this scene reminds me of Pokemon. Reiner's getting real sick of looking at walls. Yeah, oh, I beat him to it. He's in a bad news because that harness is really putting a damper on his package. That harness is crushing his nuts and he's not having it anymore. War, what is it good for? Looking really awesome. Badass anti-war stories are a little contradictory. Who cares? Actually, I mean, if I may say, of all the action in Attack on Titan, I am pretty much always, like, fist-pumping, even when it's like, oh, I can't, like, you know, when they were gonna f***ing kill Reiner and Bertolt was getting eaten alive, and, you know, I care about those characters, and I understand that this is supposed to be bad, but it's still kind of like, yeah! But, I think in this case, the framing itself is actually not that badass. It just kind of seems sad even now. Even the awesome stuff, like, Gabby blew up that... Yeah, no, Zeke knows where I'm coming from. He understands what I'm talking about. This is kind of a bummer. People getting blown up in these big ugly mountains for no reason. Uh-oh. He's heading towards the Navy. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the park. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if... Well, they're never coming back from this. Oh, you're never getting back from the ballpark. Yeah, that's not a... So this is not a shot you choose to end on when you're like, yeah, they beat the bad guys. Whoa, the episode's over? It was just a bunch of killing. And we met a couple people, a couple kids that we know are screwed. Whether they become Titans and die in 13 years or they, Oh boy. Alright, so, but anyway, the implication here, I guess, is that, yeah, Titans are great and all, but I think maybe people might be developing nukes in, not America or not England or wherever it ends up happening. Right now we're in, Marleyan territory, I guess, is in not China. I don't know. I don't like to make direct comparisons because the show does quite enough of that already, and the places where there are no direct comparisons really are what give it life, I think. The stuff it borrows is a little more negligible. Oh, am I supposed to care about who this is? Who's this gentleman in the... Oh, it's over. Poor Falco. World is a 128 million dead Titans. Alright, so that was Attack on Titan, final season, episode 1. Episode 60 overall, I think. Good start. It makes sense to start with Marley, with the, you know, the kids over the sea who have it much worse even than Eren and his folks did. I would say that's worse. I would say, at least with Eren, he had the perception of something good being taken from him, and then the agency to recover it or to, you know, even replace it with other connections and, like, a place in society. You're comparing two really very unenviable circumstances. But I hesitate to say that maybe the Eldians in Marley territory have it even worse. And so I think starting with them is a good place to start to get us on their side before adult Eren and all his horrible friends come to make life worse for them, and we'll be cheering them on at the same time. It's gonna be difficult. So I really like the choice to begin there. Most of what happened was just kind of setting the stage. We just saw Titans eating people and weapons of war, and that honestly, more even than the episode itself, which character-wise mostly just set up that Falco wants to take Gabby's place in replacing Reiner. It's interesting that Falco is centered in that ending. It seems like he's centered as the most important kid. He seems kind of like a proto-Reiner, obviously very good at heart. But that's about the only character relationships that have been set up. Those other two kids, I'm not sure where their stories are going, if they have stories to tell. But, yeah, I think the thing that set the scene most above anything else was just the opening theme, and how devoid of bravado it was, how devoid of like, yeah, exciting, our heroes are gonna come back. Our heroes really aren't visible. We see some dead Titans and some frozen Titans, some sort of statuesque Titans, and then just a lot of death and destruction and some goose stepping. That's all I have to say about that for now, but I will be back very soon with a live reaction to episode 63, I think, episode 4 of the final season, the last big one before the break. I'm excited. I have been waiting to see how this is going to resolve for a long time, so hell yeah, more Titan. Until then, sayonara, bye-bye. Thank you so much to my patrons on Patreon who have made this video possible. If you become a patron, and link in the description below, you can vote on future topics for reaction and review videos just like this one. And if you're missing my more long-form essay-style content, or if you've never read it before, head on by to weebservations.com and you can read lots of essays that I've written, and even commission me for a piece on Ko-fi if you like. I couldn't do anything like this without your support, so thank you very much. Subscribe, hit the bell button, and I'll see you again soon.